on, I'm getting some back channels that people are at the edge of their seats to see an example of how does this work. So yeah, let's go and throw something on the screen.
All right, let's go ahead and do that. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what we have right here. This is a real estate investor that I've recently talked to that is making quite a bit of money. And here's what they've been told based on old information. Real estate investors who are cash flowing their properties, they bought it right, they're renting it correctly, they're doing everything that they need to do to make money. And this real estate investor is making a lot of money. And so when they heard about the P.I.L.L method and how we can save interest, directly went to, why would I take my money that I'm making that I want to use to reinvest, to grow my portfolio, to buy more property? Why would I use any of that money to pay down the debt? Why would I do that? I'm making money. Why would I worry about paying off this debt when I can just keep on paying the bank what they want, and I can continue to make money and I can continue to invest? So here's what we're talking about, folks. You don't need to use a dime of the money that real estate investors are reinvesting into their business. Don't use the money that you're reinvesting into your business to grow your wealth to pay down the debt. Don't do that. So first of all, I want to agree with any real estate investor that is thinking that we're taking money from your investments to pay down the debt. We're not talking about that. We're talking about other monies that are sitting on the sidelines, not being used. Now, here's what he's doing. This particular property is a multifamily property that's making a lot of money. It's almost $700,000. It's got some credit cards and stuff in here too. So here's what we're talking about. And here's the interest rate for this thing. It is 5.25%. And in the 29 months that this building has been in operation and making money hand over fist, here's what this real estate investor has not paid attention to. In 29 months, he's paid this loan down by $23,700.87. But it cost $83,000 in interest in just over 2 years. What? This guy has paid out over $100,000. See, here's what I'm talking about, folks. When you receive your rents, how much of that money is yours? Every single dime of it. Now you start to pay expenses. Okay. And so one of the expenses that we're taught to not pay attention to is the interest cost on this loan. So think of it this way. Does it make sense to you to pay out $100,000, but only get $23,000 worth of benefit out of your $100,000? They're paying that rent to you, and out of that money, you only get to keep 23 grand. Wow. Projected this thing out to go to 60 months. That's 5 years. In 5 years, this loan will be paid down by $52,000. Look here. And it's going to cost $169,000 in interest to get $52,000 in equity. Equity has to do with how much the property is worth and how much you owe. Well, we're paying it down by $52,000. So we've just increased our equity by $52,000 in this property, but it's going to cost $169,000 in interest to do that. So here's my question, folks. If I have $52,000 in equity and I've got to pay $169,000 to get it, do I really have equity when I subtract my interest cost? What do you think? Do you see what I'm talking about? When I'm talking about inattentional blindness, it's right there in front of us, but we don't see it. We only look at the $52,000 in equity that we've just received and we smile. We're not looking at the $169,000 we paid to get it because we're too focused on making money that the rents that we receive, paying the mortgage, and we keep the rest. We're happy with that because that's what we're taught. So we're ignoring the $169,000. So how much interest does the bank want them to pay on a $700,000 loan? $672,000. $670,000 interest on a $700,000 loan. Folks, how is that 5.25%? That's over 90%. They want them to pay over 90% of what you borrowed in the form of interest. Once you know the rules, here's what you can do. So with the mortgage and the credit cards he uses to run the business, if they just keep paying minimum payments like the experts are teaching, it will take 32.7 years to pay off all of that debt. 32.7 years to do it, and it's going to cost $672,000 to get it done. Or by following the P.I.L.L method, they can pay $208,000, save $470,000 in interest they don't need to pay off the same amount of debt, and do it in 9.4 years. And they can do it without using monies earmarked for investment. So Don, how do we do that? Do you see this interest savings here, this $470,000? If the bank received that money, what would the bank do with that money? That's the $470,000 this particular investor is not going to have to pay. What would the bank do with that money if they received it? You're doggone right. They would invest that money. What would happen if this investor does not have to pay that $470,000 to acquire the same asset? Okay, listen, he's buying the building for $470,000 less. I'm not talking about the price that he negotiated. I'm talking about the extra added price of $672,000 on top of the $700,000 he negotiated. Okay, he negotiated buying the building for about $700,000, but was not paying attention to the additional $672,000 in interest he has to pay. So what if we can cut that down by $470,000 to acquire the same asset? Nearly $500,000 savings to acquire the same asset. What can you do with that money? Now he can invest it and turn it into, over about 20 years, turn it into $2,545,653. We're going to show him how to do that with that same money he was going to give to the bank, because the experts in the field are telling them, don't pay attention to the loan. Don't pay attention to interest cost. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making money. But we're going to show him how to increase his profitability, increase his net worth by showing him how to cut his interest costs by about 75%.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.